Hello and welcome back into the Collegian YouTube channel. I'm Evan Patrick, joined by Justin Morgenstein. And for maybe the final time this season in terms of covering the football team, this might be the last time we are here after Penn State's massive win over Illinois to end the season. And we're here to kind of recap Penn State's decision in terms of the bowl game situation this season. After the game against Illinois, James Franklin told the media that he and the team would be meeting after they did all their media duties and interviews and would be deciding on whether or not they wanted to play in a bowl game or not. And it came out about an hour or two after the game that Penn State was opting not to accept any bowl invitation. And overall, I think this is the right decision. It's a trend we're seeing in college football, really across the nation, of teams that really aren't in contention for a New Year's Six bowl or really the playoff or any top tier quality bowl. Is that, I mean, I know when Boston College opted out of any bowl game to decline any invitation, they were really one of the first teams to do it. And their head coach said that usually a bowl game atmosphere is like almost like a vacation, a reward for the team that week of going somewhere, spending time with all your teammates at a hotel, being able to go into the town that you're at and have a good time. And this year that wouldn't be the case. You'd be locked up in a hotel room. There'd be a ton of testing protocols. And we hear from all these programs of how grueling this season is dealing with COVID and all of that. And Boston College's coach, he said that it would be a better reward for these kids to just have time off to be able to spend at home with their families for the holidays. And that's really what James Franklin and Sandy Barber said in the statement they put out when they announced that they would be declining any invitation. And Penn State's unique in that it's one of very few teams in the country, especially in the Big Ten, to have played every single one of their scheduled games without any issue. I mean, Penn State has done some of the most effective job in keeping the coronavirus outside of its program from everything that we've seen throughout this season. And you can only imagine how hard this has been on the players, as well as James Franklin, who one of his daughters is immunocompromised with sickle cell, and he hasn't been able to see them all year. And I mean, he's opened up throughout the season about how difficult it is not being able to see his family. And with all those factors, taking all that into account, it's the right decision for Penn State not to accept a bowl game, end the season on a high note, coming off a win, coming off a 4-game win streak. And I think they made the right call.
Yeah, obviously the initial reaction, of course, is you want to see them play another game just because they've been so good as of late. But then you think back and you think about the families, the fact that a lot of them, including James Franklin, like you said, haven't seen their families in months. And, that is a reward, and especially they deserve it considering that they've been able to play 9 games, which only them and Rutgers were able to do in the Big Ten. And you've seen it with other Big Ten programs already. Nebraska and Minnesota come out on Sunday morning already saying that they will not be accepting invite to a bowl game either. So, I mean, from a perspective of, just try to get back to your family and keeping the students' best priorities in mind, this was really a no-brainer. And just from the fact that people always talk about, putting the students first over the schools or money. And this is just a perfect case of that. I mean, Sandy Barber and James Franklin left it in the students' hands. They had that meeting after the game, and clearly they thought that the best decision was, to go back, be with their families, keep everyone safe, and, just look back on the job they did this year, and not just from a on-field perspective, of course, but just from a COVID perspective and what they've been able to accomplish. It's really a tremendous feat and something that should be remembered as once the years go on and we look back on this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this season as a whole is going to be historic for so many reasons. I mean, playing football during a pandemic, 0-5 start for the first time in history, the way the team kind of turned the season around and just everything that's gone on. I mean, it's definitely been a wild year. The fact that Penn State played all their games is still very, I think, impressive, because if you would have said that they would have done that at the beginning of the year with everything that we saw and how many teams were missing games, it would have been hard to believe. And so that is going to do it for us here for possibly the final time. Penn State has played its last game of the 2020 season, beating Illinois on Saturday night. But be sure to keep up with us for all of our season wrap-up coverage from this weekend's Illinois game. We'll certainly be having more content come out over the final few weeks of the year. And so, yeah, be sure to follow our coverage on our website at collegian.psu.edu and on Twitter at PSU Footblog.